What's up, YouTube? I'm here with Mock Draft 2.0. Mock Draft 1.0 was done about 3 weeks ago. Make sure you guys go check that out. I usually wait about 2 months to do my next mock draft. I don't think the draft changes that much. I know a lot of people do mock drafts like weekly. I don't get down like that. I don't think it changes that much. But the reason I'm doing it again is because we have our official draft order, and in my last mock draft, the order looked completely different than this. I think the Raiders were 1. They moved all the way down to 6, and then the Panthers move all the way down to 8. Titans move all the way up to 1. Giants move down to 3, and then the Patriots are at 4. Just a lot of changes, so I really felt like I had to make another mock draft. So with the number one overall pick, we have the Tennessee Titans. I don't think they're a lock to go quarterback here. I know a lot of people are saying Cam Ward to the Titans feels like a lock. I don't agree with that at all. I think the Titans should take the best player available here and then maybe go for like a vet, like a Kirk Cousins in the offseason, or give Daniel Jones a shot, or maybe you want to roll with Will Levis again. I don't think Will Levis was as bad as people were making him out. Obviously, he wasn't great. Mason Rudolph wasn't great, but Will Levis, you got to factor in. He's very young. I don't think he's the quarterback of the future, obviously, but maybe you take the best player available here, give Kirk Cousins a shot, and then maybe you take a quarterback in next year's draft. I think that's what I would do if I was a Tennessee Titans. So the best players available on my big board is Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter here. They're neck and neck for that one spot, but I'm going to go Travis Hunter, best player in college football. Tennessee Titans get, a freakish athlete. Travis Hunter on my big board is listed as an athlete. I don't have him listed as a corner or a wide receiver. So he's really just messing up my big board. I mentioned that in my last mock draft. But with the number 2 overall pick, I think this is obvious. The Cleveland Browns need a quarterback. They have the worst quarterback room in all of the NFL. Bailey Zappi, DTR, Deshaun Watson off the Achilles injury. I don't even think he'll play next season. And Jameis Winston. So I think Cam Ward is the pick here. I think Cam Ward is an Ohio kid. Someone fact check me on that. I believe he is an Ohio kid. I could be wrong on that though. But Cam Ward to the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns actually have a pretty good roster. I think they're one of the better situations for a rookie quarterback to go to. They were in the playoffs last season with Joe Flacco. So this is a team, if you just get decent quarterback play, I think they're a team that can win 8 to 10 games next season, and Cam Ward can give you that. So with the 3rd overall pick, I got the New York Giants selecting Shedeur Sanders. This feels obvious. I don't think I really need to explain it. This guy wants to be a New York Giants. He was wearing, the Giants cleats. I think he wants to be a New York Giants. He wants that big city life. Can't blame him for it. Shedeur Sanders to the New York Giants. With the New England Patriots, I think this is where it gets interesting. They can go a variety of ways here. This is a team that just needs talent, in my opinion. This team needs talent. It's the worst roster in all of the NFL. Gerard Mayo just got fired, which I think is kind of bullshit. He was asked to coach the worst roster in the NFL that I've probably seen. Like, this roster is really, really bad. They can go a variety of ways. Like I said, though, T-Mac is a player who I think a lot of Patriots fans want. But I think they have the highest odds to get T. Higgins in free agency. So I'm going to get the best player available here, and that is Abdul Carter. I mentioned it earlier. Abdul Carter is Micah Parsons 2.0 to me. This guy's going to be an all-pro in the NFL, and I believe if you can get an all-pro at the number 4 overall pick, you're very happy. So Abdul Carter to the New England Patriots. Patriots fans, let me know what you guys think about that pick down below. With the 5th overall pick, this is the most obvious pick. Will Johnson to the Jaguars. He was mocked to the Jaguars in my last mock draft. Nothing changes there. That feels like a lock to me. They need DB. And Will Johnson is my CB1 on my big board because, like I said, Travis Hunter, I don't have him listed as a DB or a wide receiver. He's listed as an athlete on my big board. I feel like I have to mention that. But the Las Vegas Raiders, I think they can go a variety of ways here. A lot of people are screaming for T-Mac to the Raiders here, but I think they need to select a quarterback. I really do think they need to select a quarterback. Jackson Dart is shooting up boards, but I don't think he's the pick here. I think Jalen Milroe, I still believe Jalen Milroe is going to go within the top 10 picks. If Anthony Richardson can go with the 4th pick, Jalen Milroe, like I said in my last video, played against higher competition. He's a better athlete, in my opinion. Obviously, Anthony Richardson has the size, but I'm taking Jalen Milroe to the Las Vegas Raiders with the 6th overall pick. Argue with the wall. I was right about it last year when people around this time had Bo Nix and Michael Penix going in the second round. And I keep preaching this. The NFL draft does not work like this. Teams every single year take a shot on the quarterback. Maybe they feel like they don't deserve. People feel like they don't deserve to go in the first round. But this is just the reality of the NFL draft. Quarterbacks go way sooner than you think. This was true last season. Like I said, Bo Nix and Michael Penix during this season, this time of the year. Look at any mock draft from guys like Bengal or any of these big, mock draft people on YouTube. They all had Michael Penix and Bo Nix going within the second round, and they went within the top 15 picks last season. I just really think people need to understand this about the draft. Every single year, I keep seeing people mock these quarterbacks in the second round, and I'm just saying they're never going in the second round. But that's basically my rant. I already ranted about this in my last mock draft, so I'm not going to keep going about this. But the number 7 overall pick, Mason Graham to the New York Jets, feels like a lock here. If you can pair up Mason Graham with Quinnen Williams, man, this is a defensive line that I think can absolutely wreck games. Mason Graham and Quinnen Williams, oh my God. I would not want to face that. Mason Graham to the New York Jets. The number 8th overall pick, the Carolina Panthers. T-Mac feels like a lock to the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, you like what you see from Bryce Young to close out the year this season. T-Mac to the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young gets his wide receiver 1 of the future. I think this is actually a spot where Luther Burden could also go. It depends what you want. Do you want that big body receiver, or do you want a guy like Luther Burden? Doesn't have the frame of T-Mac, but it depends on what you want. Luther Burden is a spot where I think the New Orleans Saints can go, but I don't think they want another small body receiver. They got a Rashid Shaheed and they got a Chris Olave right now, so I don't really like the fit. This is a sneaky team that I think Ashton Jeanty can go to though, with Kamara getting up there in age. I think this team just needs new personnel on offense because it feels like they've had the same offense for like the last 4 years. I don't like the New Orleans Saints offense. I really just do not. I think they need talent. But I'm going to sound like a hypocrite here because I have them taking a defensive player, and that is Mykel Williams. Mykel Williams, I am very, very high on. If he can somehow fall to my Cardinals here at 16, I would be ecstatic. But Mykel Williams, he's for sure going within the top 10 to me. He's an absolute game wrecker, has some of the most highest potential in this draft to me. And I really like Georgia defensive players. With this next pick, the Chicago Bears, they need offensive line help, and that is Will Campbell. Feels like a lock to me. These next 2 picks will be offensive line. This is like pretty easy for me. Both of these teams are offensive line needy teams, and this is where I believe they rank to me. Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks should not be within, the top 7 to me. If you take them at like as high as 8, then I won't complain. But Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks to me, best O-lineman in this draft. This is not an O-lineman class, like I said in my last video, that has like a Joe Alt. This is like a decent offensive lineman class, but it's not what we've seen in previous years. Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks, though, 10 and 11, Chicago Bears and the 49ers. So with the 12th overall pick, I have the Dallas Cowboys again selecting Ashton Jeanty. Rico Dowdle is 28. I've been seeing people on Twitter saying that Rico Dowdle, he's a serviceable running back. He's 28 years old. Ashton Jeanty is 10 times the player that Rico Dowdle is. I don't even know why this is an argument. Please, I need to stop seeing that. I don't want to see that anymore. Ashton Jeanty is the pick for the Cowboys. I think Ashton Jeanty is a player that can go as early as 6, though, to the Raiders. I think, maybe the Raiders take like an Ashton Jeanty 6, and then they shoot for like a Carson Beck in the second round or a Quinn Ewers. I don't hate that. I really do not hate that. I thought about it. But Jalen Milroe is the pick to the Raiders, and Ashton Jeanty to the Cowboys again in this mock draft. With the 13th overall pick, it's going to look like I'm just picking off the top, but these really are just fits for me. The Miami Dolphins, I think they're going to select Malachi Starks. Malachi Starks was a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. I like Malachi Starks a lot, one of my favorite players in this draft. And like I said, I really, really do just like Georgia defensive players. I don't know. They always just seem to excel in the NFL to me, and I like Georgia defensive players. They're usually a hit in the NFL draft, besides, when they're drinking and driving. But with the 14th overall pick, I have the Indianapolis Colts selecting Tyler Warren, tight end 1 in this draft. This feels like a lock to me. Similar to like the Will Johnson pick, these just feel like locks to me because they're perfect fits. So Will Johnson, Ashton Jeanty, and Tyler Warren are like the biggest locks to me to go to these teams. Tyler Warren to the Indianapolis Colts at the 14th overall pick. With the 15th overall pick, the Falcons, they've been drafting quarterback. It's time to draft some defense. And with that, I have them selecting an edge rusher. And I have them selecting Shamar Stewart. They should have selected... I had them selecting Dallas Turner. Obviously, they selected Michael Penix. And now, in hindsight, it looks like a good pick because he'll be starting from here going forward. But Dallas Turner could have selected him last season. They didn't. But they need to select an edge rusher. They need to go defense here. They keep going offense. It's time to go defense. So Shamar Stewart to the Atlanta Falcons. And that leaves Jalen Walker, another Georgia defensive player, to my Arizona Cardinals. I like Jalen Walker a lot. We need any of the talent we can get defensively. Jalen Walker is a player I really like a lot. With the 17th overall pick, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a team that can select Luther Burden to be with T. Higgins likely out the way. I think he's 100% leaving the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he'll be a Patriot or a LA Charger. But I'm not going to have them selecting Luther Burden here. I'm actually going to have them selecting, this might be a shocker to some of you, it's not going to be Kenneth Grant. It's going to be Walter Nolan. I like Walter Nolan. I was watching him a lot, especially in that bowl game versus Duke. I mean, this guy is pretty good, man. I like Walter Nolan. I think he's going to go higher than a lot of people expect. Shout out to Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. With this 18th pick, I have the Seattle Seahawks again selecting Josh Simmons. Where is he at? Josh Simmons. They need offensive line help. This is a team that I think could go quarterback. Maybe this is where Jackson Dart goes. I think this is where Jackson Dart starts to get off the board. 18-2, maybe the Seahawks, but I think they need offensive line help. And maybe they shoot for one of these guys in the second round. I like Carson Beck in the second round. I like Quinn Ewers in the second round. I don't like Dylan Gabriel too much as a prospect. But with the 20th overall pick, we're at 19. I almost selected Luther Burden to the Houston Texans. Thank God I didn't do that. I'm going to have the Houston Texans selecting Kenneth Grant. Another defensive line. This is a very stacked defensive lineman class. I like all these guys right here. I think Derek Harmon is, a sleeper here. I think Tyleik Williams I like a lot. So for me, the strengths in this draft, I think it's defensive line. I think it's tight end. Harold Fannin Jr. I like a lot. Gunnar Helm. And then this running back class. Oh my God, this running back class is one of the deepest classes I've ever seen. Like Nick Singleton, if you can get this guy in like the 4th round, I think you are very, very happy. I like Quinshon Judkins. Devin Neal has a lot of carries. But Trevion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, I think is a sleeper to go in the 1st round. Obviously, Cam Scatterbu, Amarion Hampton, Dylan Sampson. This class is a lot. RJ Harvey, another guy I like a lot. This running back class is loaded. So I think Houston is a team that's going to select a running back, not in the 1st round, but towards the later rounds. But I'm actually going to have them selecting Kenneth Grant here with the 19th overall pick. So with the 20th overall pick, Luther Burden basically falls in the Denver Broncos' lap. I know some of you are going to be like, Luther Burden is not falling to 20. But I think you'd be surprised. I really do think you'd be surprised. I don't think, I could see him going. He has a range to me from like 8 to 20. And obviously that's a huge range. But for a receiver, I mean, this is a guy, like I said, like T-Mac is going to be the first wide receiver off the board. Like that feels like a lock to me. So then pretty much after that, it just depends. But like I said, he has a very wide range from 8 to 20 in my opinion. With the 21st overall pick, I really like this fit a lot. I think they need an edge rusher, and I think James Pierce has one of the highest ceilings out of all this edge rusher class. This is a very strong edge rusher class as well. I don't believe I said that previously, but defensive line, edge rusher, tight end, and running back are the strengths in this draft class for sure, to me at least. With the 22nd overall pick, I think originally I had Isaiah Bond going here, but Emeka Ibuka has moved me. He's my wide receiver 3 in this draft now. Isaiah Bond obviously just had the injuries. Haven't lost hope on Isaiah Bond, but the injuries kind of starting to worry me. But I'm going to take Emeka Ibuka. to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they need that wide receiver help. And like I said, I'm moved by Emeka Egbuka now. I didn't think he was a first rounder, and I'll admit I was wrong about that. Emeka Egbuka has moved me these last couple weeks. He's a first rounder to me for sure. The LA Rams, I think they're a team that can go a variety of ways here. They can go a Colston Loveland. I don't hate that fit, but I'm going to have them selecting Ben Morrison here. Ben Morrison is my DB2 in this draft out of Notre Dame. I like his fit a lot, especially within the LA Rams system. So that leaves back-to-back corners here. A lot of people saying Sivan Revel here, or Savon Revel, however you pronounce this. But I'm actually going to go Jedi Barron here. Jim Thorpe winner. I like him a little bit more than Sivan Revel, especially within this Green Bay team. Green Bay needs secondary help, especially with Jair Alexander. Has an injury. I'm not sure how serious it is, but it looks like he's going to be out of the playoffs. So they're going to be a one and done to me in this playoffs. I think they're going to lose to the Philadelphia Eagles in that first round. But with the 25th overall pick, Jim Harbaugh gets his guy out of Michigan. Colston Loveland, tight end. I actually like Will Dissly, tight end for the LA Chargers, but Colston Loveland with Emeka Egbuka off the board, with some of the first round wide receiver most of the first round wide receiver talent off the board. I think you got to go tight end here, and Colston Loveland, very good receiving option at tight end. So I'm going to go Colston Loveland to the LA Chargers. And that leaves the Washington Commanders. Similar to the LA Chargers, they're just too good of a team to get one of these first round worthy receivers. I don't think any of these guys, maybe besides Isaiah Bond, is worthy of a first round pick here. Maybe you can get like a Alec Iamonor, and I believe I said that right, out of Stanford in like the second round. Xavier Restrepo, I like him a lot out of Miami. With that, he had a very good connection with Cam Ward this season. But I'm actually going to have them go DB here, and that's Savon Revel out of East Carolina. Emmanuel Forbes was a bust. I think that's really what this comes down to. So you need to make up for that pick. You really need to make up for that pick if you're the Commanders. And obviously you need a receiver, like I said earlier, but none of these guys are really worthy of a receiver. But Savon Revel definitely worthy of the 26th overall pick in the draft. I think he could actually go as soon as like 20. But with the 27th overall pick, I'm going to have the Baltimore Ravens selecting Nick Scorton. Nick Scorton is a player who was going as early as like 10 in early mock drafts, but he sort of went up, falling down, because this edge class is very, very nice. This edge class, like I said, Abdul Carter, Shamar Stewart, Michael Williams, James Pierce, like he's really just falling down and down and down. But that's just because this edge class is amazing. But Nick Scorton to 27 to the Baltimore Ravens feels like an absolute steal to me. If you guys are wondering why I'm looking down at my phone, I did a previous mock draft on my phone, because last mock draft I kind of like had to remember who I had going to which team. So I just did a mock draft before this, and now I'm just looking at the picks I did, just so it's easier for me. I don't know. But with the 28th overall pick, I have the Minnesota Vikings. Like I said, this defensive line class is very nice, but Derek Harmon is a guy out of Oregon who I think could jump all these guys here. I don't know why he's ranked so low with PFF, but I don't really agree with PFF's rankings all the time. This draft is actually not bad for their PFF rankings. Last year's was absolutely terrible, though. But they're doing a lot better this year, I've noticed, at least. So Derek Harmon to the Minnesota Vikings, and I think this leads back-to-back defensive lineman picks here. Buffalo Bills, I think they also go defensive line here, and they go Tyleik Williams. Tyleik Williams, I was watching him against Oregon, and I like what I saw from Tyleik Williams. He was just kind of dropping down and down, but I think he's a pretty comfortable bet to be a first-round pick here, especially towards the back half of the first. I like Tyleik Williams. I really, really do. With the 30th pick, I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Jihad Campbell. Sorry, linebacker. I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Jihad Campbell. Jihad Campbell, like I said, can go as early as like 19 to me. Jihad Campbell has I really, really like what I see from Jahad Campbell. Maybe he's a Cincinnati Bengal. I don't know. I really don't know. I think a lot of teams could use a Jahad Campbell. I like Jahad Campbell a lot. I think in my last mock draft, I had him going like 25 or like 24, something like that. Mid-20s for sure, I had him going. But the Kansas City Chiefs, I've been seeing a lot of people saying Cam Skattebo with this 31st overall pick. I don't think Cam Skattebo will go that high. I actually don't have Cam Skattebo as my RB2. That would be Caleb Johnson as my RB2, and then Amarion Hampton 3, and then I have Cam Skattebo actually as my RB4. To have him going in the first round, I don't agree with it. The only other running back that I could see going in the first round is Caleb Johnson, possibly Amarion Hampton, but I don't know. I think this is another defensive lineman pick here because this defensive lineman class is very, very nice. I got TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. And that leaves the last pick, the 32nd overall pick, the Detroit Lions. They can go a variety of ways here. And Alec Imanor here, I don't hate it. A Landon Jackson, a Princely. I don't hate this. I really do not hate this. But I'm actually going to have them selecting guard out of Alabama. And that is Tyler Booker. I've been seeing a lot of mock drafts possibly have him moving out of the first round. I've been seeing some mock him in like the third round. I don't think he's falling off that hard. Tyler Booker to me is still a first overall pick. But that's my official mock draft 2.0. Let me know what you guys think down below. This was fun. We have our official draft order. I'll be back with another mock draft probably in about 2 months. I just want to say though, this mock draft could change a lot. Jackson Dart could shoot up boards. I think Jackson Dart could be as early as the second quarterback taken. And I think if Drew Aller declares, I think Drew Aller is a guy who I think could be the QB1 of this draft. I don't know why he's going back to college. This guy has a legitimate shot to be the QB1 in this draft, and he's going back to Penn State. It just makes no sense to me. But let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys think Drew Aller should declare? Where do you guys have Jackson Dart ranked? I was high on Jackson Dart. He was my Heisman pick before this college football season. He was my week 1 Heisman pick, but obviously that didn't work out. But still had an amazing season. Shout out to Jackson Dart, one of my favorite players in college football. But let me know what you guys think down below about this mock draft as a whole. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.